Tonight, we're going in depth on sports betting again. The debate over legalizing sports betting in Oklahoma is entering its third year now at the state capitol, and lawmakers are vowing to get this done once and for all. I asked the lead state senator working on this to come on and speak with me about the details and if this is actually going to happen. Joining me tonight is Ponca City Republican State Senator Bill Coleman, unedited in his own words. How are things going? I know you were anticipating some meetings since the bill passed out of committee. Are things still, is the train still going on the track, down the track?
That's a good way to put it. Yes, the train is still on the track and it is still moving. It's my understanding that the Thunder and the Indian Gaming Association attorneys have met via Zoom, so that meeting is still going on. Of course, the Thunder and the Indian Gaming Association met last week, I believe, and had what I was told was a productive meeting, and the talks are continuing as far as the sports bill that involves the Thunder.
Did the governor's comments last week about this cannot be only tribal, did that throw things off, or is that what you were anticipating with the deal you're working on now?
The deal I'm working on now did involve the Thunder, and I knew from the get-go that if the Thunder did get involved, it would take any exclusivity out, in my opinion, that the tribes do have. The tribes would share the sports betting with the Thunder. So I would hope that the governor would see that as non-exclusive, because we do have the Thunder and the tribes now involved, not just one entity.
I know we've been talking about this for a few years, but I'm wondering, you know, so many states have done this. It seems like we're getting left behind. Is that the feeling that we are being left behind in this now because so many states have acted?
Yeah, I think the pressure is there because we would be the 40th state. And the other pressure that is there is rumors swirling like crazy down in Dallas that the Dallas Mavericks might be moving to Las Vegas. And one of the reasons they would move to Las Vegas is Texas doesn't have sports betting. It's very a good financial way to keep a team in the state, in my opinion. And I think as you look across the country, you're seeing pro sports franchises getting these sports betting licenses all over the country.
When I was talking to Kansas officials, you know, they mentioned maybe 10 cents out of every dollar goes to education, but a lot of this is economic development. Does your deal have any kind of money spread like that with education here, a little economic development there, or is that still to be determined?
That's really still to be determined. Currently, I believe the Thunder bill does have a clause in there that says X percentage must go to problem gaming. So that is in there. But as far as the state's take of what we would get out of sports betting, nothing has been tagged to say this is where the money's going. So the way it stands right now, it would go into general revenue, but that could change as we move along.
Are you still considering opening up some kind of role for the Oklahoma Lottery Commission to have, I don't know, a sports book of some type or some kind of hand in this?
The only thing that I would suggest that we could do for the Lottery Commission is if the tribes would agree to let them do what's called iLottery, and that would be the lottery over your phone. It's anticipated that would add another $50 to $100 million to the lottery, because most people would do that off of their phone. And I get it. If you're sitting at home in your pajamas and you see the Powerballs at $1 gazillion, you don't want to get in your pajamas and go to the store to make a bet on that lottery, but you would likely do that from the comfort of your home.
Do you know, and obviously the formulas and the collections are still being figured out, but do you know how much money this could bring into the state if this is agreed to, or is that still up in the air because you're working on totals and percentages and things like that?
There's estimates out there, and it's estimated that this would bring $20 million to the state annually.
What is next? Does this go to the floor? Because of these talks, are you going to have more amendments to what was passed out of committee?
I would imagine there would have to be some changes to what was passed out of committee, because what was passed out of committee was done before the Thunder ever met with the tribe. So I would anticipate some changes there. We do have a deadline on my Thunder bill, which would be March 27th. We have to get that off the Senate floor in some form or another. We could do what's called title struck, which means it's coming off the floor and it needs more work. So just time will tell. And don't forget also, we've got activity over in the House with my representative, Ken Luttrell, who really started all this. He's got a bill there being heard today on sports betting that probably will pass the full appropriations committee and get a hearing on the House floor. And what Representative Luttrell has done different this year is he has a clause in there that says if the vote should fail in either chamber or the governor should veto it, it will go to a vote of the people. So he's got an interesting clause in there that if it does fail, it does go to a vote of the people. How much time, how long that would take, I'm not sure.
Well, that was my next question. Do we need to be voting on something? Do the people need to have a ballot initiative or something like this? Or I don't know if that's even the right word, is ballot initiative, but do we eventually have a say on legalizing this or not?
I don't know how that would work because of the tribe's involvement and the gaming compact that the state of Oklahoma signed with the tribes. I do not know how that would work. That would be something I could look into, but that is a good point. As far as whether or not it's a legal possibility, I don't know.
I know nothing is ever easy down at 23rd and Lincoln, but we've got a lot of people who are like, what has taken so long? What is the delay here? What have been the challenges you've been facing to get this deal done?
Well, it's been difficult because we have the tribes that, in my opinion, are fully in charge of gaming in the state of Oklahoma. We signed off on that. Whether or not you agree with that or not, I don't agree with it. But I also know that it did happen, and they did sign off on it, and they do, in my opinion, have complete control over gaming in the state of Oklahoma. When you compound that problem by 39, which is there are 39 different voices with the tribes out there, and then you have what certainly we have all seen as a strained relationship between the executive and the tribes. Oklahoma will be very lucky to get sports betting because I would venture to bet this is probably the most difficult state of them all to get it done in.
What would you say if I gave you a % chance of having something in place by the end of session? Are you 50-50?
I'm probably 50-50, but as session started and before I met with the Thunder, I was at 10%.
So that's progress.
So I really think the Thunder's involvement has really kick that up quite a bit. Plus, if we start seeing what happens down in Dallas, where Texas does not have sports betting, if the Mavericks would move to Las Vegas, that would really put a lot of pressure on everyone around here, I think.
So the question is that you all need to figure out is what happens in the central and western part of the state that really isn't known as tribal land. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The Thunder's proposal would put the Thunder in charge of sports betting in all non-tribal lands, which does include Oklahoma City, which does include the Paycom Center, and it includes a large part of Oklahoma. Stillwater would fall under Thunder, and so would my hometown, Ponca City, would fall under what I've started to call Thunderland, which would be the non-tribal lands. And it takes up a pretty good portion of both the land and the population of the state because of Oklahoma City being in non-tribal land.
With your district being close to the Kansas line, I'm an hour away. Does it bother you that Oklahomans are taking their money up there so easily?
That is exactly why I started here on my desk. It is a sports bet I made 3 years ago by driving 40 minutes to Kansas, and I bet on whether or not Joe Burrow would get so many rushing yards in the AFC Championship game, and was a great example to show how sports betting can make sports more interesting. I didn't care about that game until I made that bet.
Senator, anything else you'd like to mention? I appreciate your time.
I think I'm good.
Thank you so much, Senator. I'll be following the bill.